Street. Hello, everyone. Hello, Ponderers.
Hi,
Welcome back.
Josh.
We're here. Look, I'm with the world traveler. She's back.
Yep.
She's back in the States. Everyone's saying hi. Norma's here. Hello, Norma. Jacqueline, you're from Massachusetts. I feel like we know. Do we know your name, Jacqueline, or are you new to our podcast? Welcome. Barbara's here, and Cindy and Catherine. Hello, hello.
All the usual suspects.
Yes, 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 yes. So before we get started, and while we're waiting for a few more people to enter, I may have shown this before, but I wanted to show it. So we had a little gathering in August for people that weren't too far away, they were local. And actually, this guest came all the way from Maryland. And she wrapped this gorgeous for the ponderers. We had a little gathering. She wrapped this gorgeous. I keep it in my office. I never even unwrapped it. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? It's like a
Beautiful.
creamy beige type of wrapping paper. How she did it, she has like the flower, the silk flower, and inside. And if I think I did show this before, but just in case I didn't, this is the pond, and it's a nightlight. Isn't that cute?
It is.
I know. I loved it so much. Such a nice little surprise for me. That was so nice. Oh, Kathy's saying good morning, guys. I love this show so much. Yes, we all do. And Kathy's saying, glad to see you, Kathy and Roxanne. Arlene's here saying hello. Arlene, I've been struggling with what I want to give you as your prize from the couple weeks ago, the game that we played. And I have an idea, didn't work out. So now I have a backup to send your way. The other two, the prize winners already got their cool stuff. So let's dive into this. Let's dive into the pond. And we have to talk about the biggest relationship of all. And you know what? We should have done the relationship of the cast with the pond. you know but I think that I think the biggest relationship is Elliot and Kat. And if we're discussing Elliot and Kat, we would also have to discuss Thomas, because he suddenly played a really major role, even more than, because some people could say, what about her ex-husband? But he didn't have such a role in her life as Thomas did. So we have to include him in this as well. We're not talking about, I don't know, can I make it with my hands? We're not talking about that. We're only talking about this. Hello, Shayna. It's morning, Kathy. Is it morning where you are? That's what Norma was asking the other Kathy. So,
Mm.
Kathy, in my opinion, I think that the relationship between Elliot and Kat is like really complex, has lots of layers. Like I see them as almost not quite like brother and sister, but family. And I see them as, you know, friends and confidants, especially when they were younger, before they got into that teenagey, angsty feeling. And then as they grow older, they're friends again, almost like parents together to even though she does have a wonderful dad who loves her, to Alice, you know what I mean? Because he has a good relationship that's parental almost with Alice. And then, like, I don't know, can we say the word lover? Can we say that on here?
Sure.
Yeah, they have such a like Elliot and Kat have this really complex relationship. So what did you want to add or dive into first?
I think that they are. If I apologize for my voice, and if I start hacking, I got sick about a week ago, and with a cold, and this is lingering. Um, I think they are each other's person, and any old Grey's Anatomy fans will recognize that designation.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they are. They are everything to each other. Um, and I think it transcends just love. I mean, it's every form of love.
Yes.
That's what I
Yes.
see, and I mean, I recognize the trope. I've been around the block many a time with the whether you call them you know OTP, is that the word? OTP, one true pair, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
destined for each other, or whatever. But I think that's what the writers had in mind when they designed these characters. Um, so yeah, I just think they are everything to each other, and from the first from the first few episodes when Kat came back home, and I remember when they did the memorial service for Jacob, and she relied on him so much, and she reached out to him, and I don't think she would have got through that.
With her hands, and they
Yeah,
were holding hands. Yes.
literally, yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that is not easily vanquished, being the person's person.
No.
Having said that, I think they will throw challenges at them,
Sure.
whether they're internal or external, and they'll find ways to throw monkey wrenches in. But that's my 2 cents.
I also seem to think that it's so easy for them. They're hypersensitive with each other. It's so easy for them to hurt each other. Not that they're wanting to hurt each other, but when it comes to like being critical, and it could be a good criticism, do you know what I mean? A constructive criticism, they get so defensive. And that's because they have so much riding on their relationship. They care what the other one thinks and feels about them. And when Kat was going through all that she was going through, needing to go and find her brother and going back in time, and although it was dangerous and Elliot was against it, I think that what she needed, she found at that time in Thomas. And we have to admit that the two of them had a lot of chemistry. Chemistry can burn, you know what I mean? Thomas and Kat had a lot of chemistry. I loved them. I think the actors had a lot of chemistry. And I think the directors saw it and they played that up because that was not the original storyline. And that's why they gave us that little nugget at the end where he doesn't die, because he was supposed to be the ghost with the coins and die. And then they switched that around when they saw how much chemistry they had. What they do with his story, if he gets to time travel, all that stuff, I don't know. That would just cause like more angst and excitement in the storyline. But like you said, I feel like Kat and Elliot were destined for each other. Now, if I had to make a decision right now on who I would like for her to be with, I don't know that I can answer it. I would like for her to be with herself, to figure out more things about herself before she has like the physical lover love. She's got all kinds of love with Elliot, and I like it. And it'll always be there no matter what, no matter who is in their lives. They'll always be in each other's life is how I see it. Did you want to, I'm sorry, add as I go on my soapbox? I was just going to add what some of the people are saying here.
I don't know. I think what they're doing now, and maybe what they plan to do, is throwing up. They could never quite get it right. Their timing is off with each other, Kat and Elliot.
Yes.
And so I think that'll be a running theme before anything gets resolved. I think
Yes.
it's going to be a while before they're both on the same page.
Right.
I'm reminded of Bridgerton, if there are any fans out there, with Kate and Anthony, as he proposed to her, and he's like, I want to live the life that suits both of us.
Yeah.
And she said, yep, I love you too, let's do it. And he said, it looks like we finally see eye to eye on something.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Kat and Elliot need to be. They need to just be on the same page at the same time, and not arguing about Jacob or the pond or Dell or
Right.
you know,
Right.
they just need to.
Now, Kathy, what is it? Is it 1883 or 8? That's such a small little writing. She says, I've seen some of the cast interviews and they seem like great friends in real life too. They are. They're good friends.
The whole cast is very
Wait,
close.
They really get along well, all of them. Christina says they knew each other so well growing up with each other. Yes. And Amanda says, yes, Kat and Elliot are every form of love. I like that. I think they are home to each other. Yes, Amanda.
I'm
Yes.
looking at a comment from Christine.
Go ahead.
But I feel Kat and Elliot are more like brother sister, where Kat and Thomas actually have the chemistry to create a relationship. Christine, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I would say go back and look at like the first couple of kisses with Kat and Elliot, and tell them come back and let me know how sibling like those kisses were, because
Yes.
I didn't see brother and sister in that.
No, they do have a physical attraction, and it's a little different. It's a little more comfortable, where with Thomas, it's more exciting. And I wanted to talk about that, but before I do, um, Barbara, I don't want to forget this. Barbara's saying Elliot understands her better now that he's experienced time travel. I agree. There are certain things, and I know time travel is not real, but imagine there are certain things in life when you are trying to be there for someone, you can do the best that you can. If you've never lost a pet, or you've never lost a job, or you've never lost a parent or a friend, or God forbid, the worst, a child, it's so hard to be there for that person. You just have to be, right? Or to sometimes understand from where they're coming. You think about someone, if they really could time travel and the concept in their head, and he just couldn't get it. And she kept thinking, I can go back. I can fix all these wrongs. And she's carried that guilt around for so long. He just couldn't get it. He couldn't get almost like her desperation for it. And again, so easy to hurt each other because they care about each other and value each other so much.
He
And
was
then,
also worried sick about her.
yes,
He
yes.
was time traveling. He wasn't sure when and if she'd come back, if she got in trouble, and he couldn't help her.
Yes. And there was a scary moment. Remember when her daughter got trapped under the ice? Remember, so it can be scary. So then when he got that taste of time travel and he was able to experience it, he had this whole new look on life. Remember, he cracked down the redo his house and make it his own. And that's when he's sitting there with her on the couch and he's like, I want you to choose me, choose us, choose me. And she's like, got a lot going on right at this second. She doesn't know if she's there. And that's where you say they're not on the same page yet, where she was ready and he wasn't. Now he is and she's not. So let's see. Cindy says she sees the Kat and Elliot as endgame. Now, Chris, I want to speak to what you're saying because I understand totally what you're saying. You and I have even talked about this before. I agree with Chris. I see more chemistry with Thomas, but Kat and Elliot's relationship is so complicated, it will be good to explore. And there is no denying the chemistry, but just because you have chemistry does not mean that that's to be built upon a relationship. And if you think about, and I agree, they have a lot of chemistry, and I like his character. And if he was somehow able to, she goes in the past to live, or he comes to the forefront, I'll be okay. Kathy and I are a little different on this. I would be okay with that. She's absolutely not. I would be fine because I like the character. I like what he brings. There's, if they wanted to explore it, there's like so much more. He's very sexy, and the two of them are like passionate. I'm good. I'm good with it. But I also feel like, because these writers are smart, everything is intensified when she is in the 18, what is it, 1814, when she is in that time. And when you are in a tense situation with someone, an accident or something serious, and you're there, it kind of bonds you. It kind of, you got that, you're running off of that adrenaline, right? So you get this extra passion inside of you. And I think that's what was going on for her with him. I don't think him for her. I think he really has good feelings for her. Like if she were there, he'd want a big relationship with her. She's different than any woman from that time. You know what I mean? That he's probably encountered. And he likes that about her. And it almost reminds me of Outlander a bit. But for her, I think it's more like he was what she needed at that time. She was excitement and chemistry and a source of security in a way. So she's definitely got some major feelings for her, and she has for him. So, let's see. It says right here, I wonder if Elliot will go time traveling with Kat next season. Hmm. They've never experienced that together. That'd be a whole new level of something, wouldn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah. And Christine and Kathy is not quiet because she totally disagrees with me. That's not the case. She's quiet because she's saving her voice. And Christina says, I believe she has feelings for each of them. Yes. And each of her feelings are different. Yes. And she has love for them both. Yes. Absolutely agree with you there. I do. Now, Kathy, do you agree with that? Do you think she has feelings for both?
Uh, I think it's a different level of feelings.
Right.
I
Right.
think for Thomas, she's attracted to him. She's grateful to him because he took care of her brother, and
Hmm.
he's brave and dashing, and all those good things. So yeah, I think she definitely has feelings for him. But
Yeah. Catherine says, I thought Thomas brought out another dimension in Kat that we didn't see before she traveled to 1814. It was almost like a sexy, siren-y kind of way about her, I thought, when she was with him. That's what I thought I saw with her. And
I think the circumstances
yes,
brought
yes,
out the change in her because she had to be more clever, more smart, more
yes,
feminist.
yes.
You got out of all the different situations they were in.
Yes, she had to use her feminine wiles too at times. Rose says, I think regardless of whatever chemistry Kat has or will have with other love interests, I think the show was constructed with Kat and Elliot intended to be end game from day one. And they basically were. And there's things that are going to go along the way. But if they're good writers, and if it organically evolves where they don't, that might be their plan right now. And a lot of times, when you're a writer, things just start to happen organically that you don't realize. But especially when you've got who's playing what characters and the actors and the way they have their chemistry on camera, that could change things too. But I do believe that they are endgame and they're just unraveling the story to tell us and what happens along the way.
And with,
And
and with I'm sorry,
no, go ahead.
with any storyline, we got to remember nothing is smooth. So there are going to be obstacles either way. There are going to be obstacles thrown in the path, and setbacks. Um, so we'll just have to wait and see. I just hope that uh, they follow the path that they planned on, and don't just stop and change in midstream because of external forces, shall we say, and just
Oh,
follow
well,
their own. Well, not like it hadn't happened before, but I
yeah,
just
but
hope
not
they
but
follow.
different caliber. Yeah.
I hope they follow their vision for what this story was going to be.
Right, the different caliber of writing, and there's also a different situation there. I know where people were saying like, "Oh, we could change stuff and we could get it to change because other shows have." Not really, other shows have, but the truth of the matter is that there's core or principal cast, and he is definitely principal cast. So I mean, it's not like Elliot is going anywhere or the actor Evan. But Chris is saying I've watched the series at least 30 or 40 times, and this is no lie. Okay. This is the truth. Okay. And I've seen Kat and Elliot kissing many times, but there's only one opportunity for Kat and Thomas, and time will tell with both relationship in season 3. Yes. I feel like the actor's not in season 3 that much because they were still filming, and whatever parts he had to film, I'm sure they do go out of sequence for a certain amount of time. But then he was off doing some other things. They also, who else was off doing something? Oh, for about a week she was out doing the runway. Dell, Andy, she was doing something in Paris. So I don't know. We'll see. And let's see. Now, Barbara, if you could expand on that, I would like for you to write and type in, and I'll look for it. I think Kat seemed like a totally different person in 1814. Like, can I have some examples of what you meant? what you mean. I'm interested. And Norma says she's independent and strong-willed. She always has been independent and strong-willed, whether she was in 1814 or she was in present time. She is a very independent and strong-willed woman. Most of the time, whenever Kat and Elliot are together, end up fighting. Hmm.
They
Yeah.
fight a lot of the time. They see things differently, but that's another hallmark of a person and their person.
If you think about the time that Elliot and Kat have been together and how many of those times ended up in arguments, it's really not that many. And if you think about the amount of time that Thomas and Kat were together, they had arguments too, different kind. And also, it wasn't as if Thomas feared for her. He didn't fear for her. He treated her like sort of like an equal, that she had smarts enough. I think that's why I was so attracted to her. He almost had in his head,
Why she may have been attracted to him.
yes, and him to her though, but he almost had in his head that she was sort of like supernatural. Do you know what I mean? Like witchy kind of thing. He wasn't shocked by it. And then and in that area, they were more open than we are today to that kind of thing, because there was a lot that couldn't be explained by science. So there was a lot of that supernatural. So I think that may also be why, but they had arguments and they had conflict until they got to know each other better. Let's see. Rose. I think they will end up being too many characters in present day if they start bringing everybody from different eras to the present. Um, I don't know that you can go to the future. So far, you can't. That's my main issue if Thomas was to come to the present.
Jacob did.
Jacob's been from the present though. He's not from the past. He belongs in the present time. He just got stuck in the past. So you can't go to your future
Well, they're gonna
so
do
far.
they're gonna do whatever they want to do.
Yes. But right now they can't go to the future. And again, the writers are smart. They have a story that they want to tell, and they know what they're doing. I have a lot of faith in them because they wrote two fantastic seasons that just kept us on the edge of our seats. And I don't care what channel you're on and what you're watching. I haven't seen that in a very long time. Like it was almost as if I was watching Game of Thrones, you know what I mean? To an extent. Of course, they can't show everything Game of Thrones did, but Game of Thrones kept you on the edge of your seat all those years, episode after episode. You didn't know what was coming your way. And that's the kind of writing that this is. But of course, it has to be toned down because they did put it on Hallmark. So I have faith in them. Although people are going to get mad if they're Game of Thrones people. So a lot of people were mad about the way it ended, but that's a whole other story. Um, Maybe Elliot will follow Kat into the pond, hoping to see who Thomas is, but they might not go to the 1800s after all. I don't know. That's interesting to see what happens there. And they could always make Chris like an aunt, Chris. They can make Thomas like an ancestor, like come back through time. I don't know, but who knows? There's just so many wonderful possibilities. Um, Christina says the only way I could see Kat and Thomas is if Thomas came to the future. If not, I can't see her and him continue. Not unless both she goes and lives in the past, and maybe her daughter wants to too.
That ain't gonna happen.
Yeah. I got the siren stuff who Thomas came out of the water kind of spicy for homework. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Yes. That's why I said he kind of has this almost like she's a little bit on a pedestal for him. Do you know what I mean? But not like a pedestal for virtue, like a pedestal of, wow, you rock my world kind of thing. Like, oh, she's got some, I don't know, sauciness to her and special power. I don't want Thomas to be a time traveler. It's special because it's a Landry thing. Not every Thomas, Dick, and Harry. Barbara, that was so cute. I love it. Wasn't it previously mentioned that the writers/creators of the show wrote the ending of the show series first and now working towards that? I think so. I think they know where the ending is. They have an idea and they're working towards it. They've said that for a long time. They also explained how they still can switch things up. I remember one of the, I forget who it was, which one, if it was the daughter or the mom, they were talking in a on a podcast and they were sharing about when they were looking through that, or was it Chris who told me that? They were looking through the lens. I think Chris may have. And they, they're watching what's going on between the two actors, meaning Chris Holden Reed and Kyler. And they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna have to keep him on longer. And that's how we found out that they had every intentions of him dying, but they chose not to. And that's when he made the announcement that he would be back for some more scenes. I feel like Chris filmed all his scenes early. He was there early, Barbara. He was. But here's the thing about filming. Just because an actor wants to be on and then leave and you make them film, there's only so much filming out of sequence that you can do. People always film out of sequence to a degree. They usually do it in blocks of two, like episode 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4. And sometimes they'll do little things here and there. And if somebody's got to be out for a short time or coming back in, but let me just give you an example. And again, totally different caliber of direction here, of directors and writers. When they filmed When Calls the Heart, there was a character, Fiona, and this one season she was constantly leaving and in the car and coming back and leaving. Well, she was constantly out because she was filming and she really didn't have a part. So I don't think that they would bring in, because she had to do it so much in the season. I could see where you have to be out for like a couple of weeks, but he's gone. He was done early and he went. So I'm not sure how much of a part he has. Um, Chris is on again, watching it again. Just the way, oh, this is what I wanted to know, where she said, just the way she acted, even with Susanna, like linking arms, very feminine, maybe partly because of the clothing she was wearing from that time period. Well, they linked arms because that was something to do in that time period. You don't walk around in present time linking arms. You know what I mean? That was definitely something females did then. And I think they also linked arms as a protection. Because remember when she was just going to go in the woods and Susanna said, I don't care how strong you think you are, or I'm paraphrasing, how equipped you think you are, a woman does not walk alone in the woods here, and she went to save her, dressed like a guy or a man. Yeah. Yes. I couldn't picture linking arms with Monica and strolling along. You're right, because it's present time. So it's not necessarily that she's a different person, People think Thomas can time travel because he is sus. I don't know who those people are, and I don't know about him being sus. I'm not sure. I mean, I think they wanted to have a little level of mystery when it came to him. Arlene says the pond is always in control of the travelers, so anything can happen. That's what keeps us guessing. Yes, yes. But they made a point of saying, and that could be just like a little Easter egg. They made a point on more than one occasion to say that it doesn't go to the future. It doesn't take you to the future, only to the past. Kathy's agreeing with Barbara, saying, I agree. I don't really know how I feel about Elliot being able to travel too. I understand why it was necessary, but I like that it was unique to only Kat and Alice.
The whole issue of traveling to the future, I think, got thrown into kind of twirling around in my mind with the whole Colton thing at the end of the season, because Colton, I don't know what Colton's capabilities are, but I think he could be the key to everything that's going on with the pond.
A side note, Jefferson was in Christmas Charade. If you haven't had a chance to see it, there's this funny little, the main character is sitting in the couch in her pajamas eating her cereal before work, and she's watching this very tongue-in-cheeky kind of spy movie, and he's the main guy. I love it. And the woman that is with him in it is oh, I can't think of her. She's from the Postables. Is her name Catherine? I can't think of what her last name is. She plays in it too, and they're kind of like little like spies together. It's cute. If you wanted to catch it for the first few minutes, or anybody that's on here. Also keep in mind Alex Hook, she along with Eva Bourne, I think Chandler Macy and Catherine, oh, Catherine's last name went right out of my head. She is from oh, the Wyatt Earp series too. She played in a movie with Tyler Hines not too long ago. They were mechanics. It's not Bale or Bale, maybe. Anyway, they're in a movie called A 90s Christmas, which I think is hilarious. A 90s Christmas. And guess what? In a dream of somehow they travel back. That's what Alex's the movie is in. She's traveling backwards.
Excuse me.
That's okay. Okay, let's see. So the part about being unique to only Kat and Alice, it actually isn't. There's some time traveling going on with Jacob. He time travels. He was actually the first time travel that we know about was Jacob. He went to the past, right?
Yeah.
So we got Jacob who time travels, and I think it's a Landry blood thing. I really do. So I think Colton can time travel as well. I hope Chris is only in the first few episodes and they wrap it up. I loved his character, but I'm getting burnt out on hearing about him all the time by some of the bunch of people.
The same bunch of people.
By the same bunch of people. Barbara, I don't know where that would be, where that's happening. On our page, everybody's represented, so I'm not sure. I don't see a lot of just about him, but you can't, you can't help it when you fall in love with a character. You just can't help it. People fall in love with certain characters and they become, obsessed. They want to watch everything they're in. They want them to be there. So we can't fault people for that.
Someone made a very good point. Who is this?
Yes.
Yvonne. 10 time travels. So apparently it's not just the Landrys.
But Finn time travels only because he's hooked with a Landry. He never goes by himself. So he hooks with the Landry. That is why Thomas figured out that he could probably time travel too. Let's see. Oh, Kathy, I link arms with my sister and closest friend sometimes. It feels like sisterhood. Thank you. You nailed it. And I was going to say it, and I didn't have a chance to say it. You are right. It is a sisterhood thing. And that's with those two girls. They were a sisterhood, and they needed to be in order to survive. So I love that. I love it, love it, love it that you said that. Maybe the weather conditions warrant the pond not to be frozen over for going to any time period. They would film more of those scenes. Maybe. And Rose says, I think the future travel will be something that will become possible, but I think we'd learn about it through a Landry rather than one of their love interests. And thank you, Arlene. It's Burrell. That's it. Yes. And again, Finn doesn't time travel. He's always connected and travels with one of the Landrys. Colton's grandma seemed to be very knowledgeable about the pond, if that is his grandma. Do we think? Maybe.
I'm not, I can't picture who you're talking about.
Well, remember when we saw him on the edge of the water? We saw a little boy and we didn't know what his name was in the very beginning of the season.
Oh, yeah.
We don't go, and then later on she calls him Colton, so we realize, yeah. Oh, Barbara, it's on another page. Okay. I get it. It's on another page. So everybody has equal opportunity to share. If you've got people that are Thomas fans here, you got people that are Cat fans, you got people that are Elliot fans or whatever fans. Everybody has an opportunity to share on our page. We just don't write anything about the yeah. I believe Colton and Finn break the time traveling rules. Well, Finn has only traveled, I think, with a Landry. That was that whole big point and scenario that Elliot had. He called it the Fin Factor. Remember that? Do you remember that, Kathy?
Mhm. Mhm.
And he had the whole drawing and he explained, and that's why they figured out when Elliot tried to time travel on his own back in the day, it didn't work, but because he went with the Landry, it did. So, yeah, he does. He calls her grandma. You're right, Barbara. So, we've got a complicated. We've got a complicated relationship with Kat and Elliot. No matter what, they will always be in each other's lives. I think that like they have such a from the beginning such a layered relationship. I can't imagine that suddenly if for whatever reason, they're not on the same page and they wind up with other love interests for a while, that they still wouldn't be an integral part of each other's lives. I can see where, because it happened with her husband, I can see where it would kind of be a little in each other's side, a little bit of jealousy. And I'm sorry, but I think that one day, and I don't know how soon, but we're going to get to meet. They left that open, but we're going to get to meet Elliot's wife.
I hope so. And if you think about it, they are the constants in each other's lives from the very beginning
Yep.
through her husband and the birth of, is Allie. I don't know why I'm blanking on her name tonight. The
Ellie,
daughter,
Alice. Yeah.
Alice. Yeah,
Mhm.
Alice.
Ellie.
Uh, through before she was born, after she was born, and I think that's another um, big component of their personhood toward each other, Kat and Elliot, that is, and that's Alice.
Yep.
It's number one is the fact that they share this huge secret,
Yep.
and they both care in equal measure about Alice. I think he considers her um, to be not just a friend, but a daughter,
Yeah.
the daughter of his best friend person. And I think she feels the same way about him. I think Alice, Elliot is equally important to Alice as again, me, Buffy and Giles. That's what I see them
I
as.
do too. It always goes in my head. And he was like a parent to her. The
Yep.
father, Buffy's father wasn't around. Eventually the mom passes away, remember? So he
Mhm.
definitely was like and they shared a secret. He was more than just her handler. He loved her and cared about her. All right. So Chris, you're right. That's why Alice told Finn to stay put in the one scene. Yes. And Amanda has an idea of that. Maybe we will see Elliot's ex-wife through flashbacks of time travel. Maybe.
Mhm.
Maybe. Um,
I can
so
see them playing. I'm hoping they'll focus more on kind of lighthearted stuff next season too.
more lighthearted stuff. I know he's
Or
got a
just
great,
bringing that back in, some of the
yeah,
lighthearted
yeah, because it
moments.
was so intense. It really was. Let's see. Barbara. They're going to be focusing on the 70s, so I hope they'll wrap up the 80s early in the season. Barbara, we have a lot of really cool things that we can share, but I was asked by Hallmark not to yet. I mean, we have pictures, photos, that kind of information. You saying that they're going to be in the 70s is not that they even leaked out or said anything yet, but we will definitely have that for everyone. So this is our last podcast that has to do with season 2 and 3. And we did our deep diving. And I had suggested that we talk about symbols and things like that and all that good stuff. But I'm not sure. I definitely am, I'll do my little car chronicles and we interact. But in about like, so we got to get through November and December. But we will have a couple, at least one with predictions, because then we'll get the green light and we'll be allowed to share some things that we know and what we already know. And we could do a whole little prediction and why the predictions are plausible and just what people hope and wish for. So that's to come in the future, right? Which did everyone like better? Which season? Oh, that's a good question, Christine, or Chris rather. Which season did you like better? Yes, to the lighthearted comedic relief. I hope they focus on that next season too. Me too. What did you like, season 1 or season 2, Kathy?
One.
You liked 1 better than 2?
Hmm.
I think I liked 1 better than 2 as well. Yeah, I like them both though, and I have to say that season 1's ending shocked me just as much as season 2 did. The 2 endings both shocked me, which I love.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we both like 1 better. Let's see what everyone else is saying. We got another vote for 1. We got a 1 and a 2. And then we got another 1 and another 1. And you and I said 1. And season 1 by far, the pacing was better, and the 1800s just wasn't a fun era compared to the 1990s. Can I recommend? Sure, a movie. Yes. It came out in the late 90s, and it's free on YouTube. It's called the Ruby Ring. It's about a teenage girl who travels back in time a century through a magic ring. Good for a Sunday. Oh, thank you, Kathy. We got a 2, but we got more 1s. So we got more 1s tonight. That doesn't mean the whole fandom is like that. You know what, Chris? Do me a favor and go on to the fan page and ask the question. Make a poll and see what everybody says. Make a poll. Yep, that would be fun for us to see. A good way to interact with each other. Well, Kathy, thank you for being a good sport because we know you're not feeling well.
It's okay. I'll get better
All right.
sooner or later.
And what would you like to say to everyone before we say goodnight?
When are we back?
It's in January, but I forget. It's a 3rd week of January. I forget.
Okay.
But
Then
we will.
I want to tell everybody to have wonderful, safe, and happy holidays.
Yes.
We're coming up on that season. I can't believe it, but here we are.
I know. And if I'm allowed, this is as political as I will get on here. If you are registered to vote, please vote. Our lives are like changing so quickly, the whole world. I mean, ever since the pandemic. So vote. Doesn't matter who it is you want to vote for. That's up to you and what you think is right, but please vote. And that's coming up around the corner if you're an American. And also, if you don't vote, I really wish you would register to vote. I have family members that don't vote and they got a whole lot to say about stuff. And I'm like, but you didn't vote. So, all right. Take care. Happy Halloween if you celebrate. And we'll see. Oh, you voted early. So did I. So
I
did
did
I.
too.
Yes.
I understood the assignment.
Me too. I understood the assignment. Oh, Norma says she likes both for different reasons. And Jacqueline is saying she hopes you feel better.
Thanks for all the well wishes to feel better. I will. It's just a matter of giving myself time and relaxing and getting plenty of sleep.
Yes. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you. Christine is voting tomorrow. All right. Good night, everyone. See you on the other side of the pond.